You know when you're playing a video game and the music just perfectly matches every move you make? Or you're scrolling through your feed and you hear this super catchy tune you've never heard before? Well, more and more, the answer to who made that is artificial intelligence. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on this wild new world where machines are literally becoming musicians.
And that really gets us to the big question on the table, right? Could an AI actually write the next chart-topping #1 hit song? The answer, as you're about to see, is way more complex than you'd think. It's a mix of incredible technology, raw creativity, and some really heated debates.
So, first things first, before an AI can even think about composing, it has to learn, it has to go to school. And, well, right out of the gate, we hit a huge hurdle. To make convincing music, especially in a really unique genre, an AI needs to be a great student. But its classroom is often missing the most important thing: enough books to study.
Here's the deal. For an AI to get good at anything, it needs a massive amount of high-quality data to learn from. But what happens when you want to teach it something niche, something specific, like flamenco music? There just aren't that many high-quality recordings out there to train on. This problem, called data scarcity, can lead to an AI that's super repetitive or just totally misses the vibe. So how do developers even get around this?
Well, they get clever. One of the key solutions is something called data augmentation. Basically, you take the few audio samples you do have and you create more of them by making small, believable tweaks. It's kind of like taking one photo of a cat and then creating 100 slightly different versions of it. You know, different lighting, different angles, so the AI learns what a cat looks like from all sides. And this is where it gets really cool, because you can't just randomly change things, especially for a genre like flamenco. Small shifts in tempo? Yeah, that works. It sounds like a real musician speeding up or slowing down. But heavy time warping? No way. You'd completely destroy the duende, that rhythmic soul at the core of the music. It's a delicate art, a real digital balancing act. Okay, so that's one tool in the toolbox. The other big solution is called transfer learning. This is a game changer. Instead of trying to teach an AI music from scratch, which takes forever and needs tons of data, you take a model that's already a musical genius. Say it's been trained on a massive library of classical and pop music. Then you just give it a specialized little finishing course in your specific genre. And the benefits here are just huge. I mean, the model already understands the fundamentals. It gets rhythm, harmony, melody. You're just fine-tuning its knowledge. This means you need way less new data, it costs less to run, it uses less energy, and, this is a big one, it lets developers experiment with new sounds so much faster. It's a massive shortcut, and it's incredibly efficient. But you knew there was a but, right? It's not all sunshine and roses. There are some serious trade-offs. The new music might have what's called style leakage, where it still kind of sounds like the pop and classical stuff it was originally trained on. There's a big risk that if your new dataset is too small, the AI won't actually learn to create. It'll just memorize and spit back the new songs. And this is where it gets really tricky. It could even accidentally copy copyrighted melodies from its original training data. Okay, so we've talked about the how. Let's get into the where. Now that we know a bit about how the AI learns, where is all this stuff actually popping up? The answer is probably a lot more places than you realize. It's already changing the soundtrack of your digital life. Two of the biggest arenas right now are video games and social media content. In games, AI is creating these incredible adaptive soundtracks that change in real time based on what you're doing, making the whole experience way more immersive. For social media, it's all about churning out fast, royalty-free audio clips for creators to use. But look at the different challenges. For a game, the music has to maintain emotional consistency. It can't suddenly feel wrong for the moment. But for a social media clip, the biggest fear is that it sounds too much like an existing artist, and suddenly you're in legal hot water. And that idea of a challenge, of getting it just right, that brings us to the core tension at the heart of all AI music. It is a constant, difficult balancing act between three competing goals. You can think of it like this. Developers are trying to juggle three balls at once. They want creativity, so the music sounds new and interesting. They need style fidelity, so if it's supposed to be flamenco, it actually sounds like authentic flamenco. And they have to guarantee originality, so it doesn't just copy someone else's song. The problem is, as you can see here, when you pull too hard on one of these threads, the others can start to completely unravel. Think about it like this. If you focus everything on style fidelity, making the most authentic sounding flamenco track ever, it might end up sounding predictable and you lose creativity. But if you push too hard for pure creativity, the music might just sound like a disorganized mess. And if you prioritize originality above all else, just to avoid lawsuits, the music might lose that stylistic soul and not sound authentic at all. So the big takeaway? The best AI music isn't one size fits all. It totally depends on what you're using it for.
And this is where we have to hit pause on the cool tech for a second and talk about the really, really tough stuff. Because behind all the code and the algorithms, there are some profound questions about what it means to automate art and, more importantly, who pays the price.
Just take a look at this number, 500,000. That's how many copyrighted songs one commercial AI model was reportedly trained on without getting permission from the artists. This isn't some theoretical future problem. It's happening right now, and it's the foundation of a huge, very public, and very messy debate.
And you can see why this is so explosive for artists. This quote really just nails the issue. Imagine you're a musician. You've spent your entire life mastering a unique style only for an AI to learn from your work and then spit out a cheap, royalty-free version of it. For artists, it's not just about losing money, it's about devaluing their entire creative contribution.
So we are looking at a complete minefield of challenges being debated. You've got the obvious legal nightmares of copyright infringement, but then there's the even bigger stuff, the fundamental issue of consent, the arguments about unfair competition, and the broader concern that we're devaluing human creativity itself, and of course, the very real fear of job losses for composers and producers.
Okay, so with all that on the table, it's easy to feel like this is just an impossible problem. But how do we actually move forward with this technology responsibly? Well, the good news is people are already working on building a roadmap for exactly that.
One of the most promising ideas is this kind of multi-stage evaluation, a partnership between humans and AI. Think of it like a series of quality checks. First, an AI does the heavy lifting, scanning thousands of songs for any copyright risks. But then the humans step in. Music experts judge its artistic quality, real listeners tell you if they actually enjoy it, and, crucially, an ethics board makes sure the data was used fairly. A piece of music only gets the green light if it passes every single one of those checks.
So yeah, that balanced approach seems like a pretty smart way to go. But it all circles back to one final massive question. For centuries, we valued art based on human skill, human emotion, human intention. Now that a machine can create it, who decides what it's all worth? And what does that mean for the music you're going to be listening to tomorrow? I mean, that's a question we're all going to have to answer together.